Hello, my pretties. What's up? It's your mistress, the Queen of Lions here, and welcome to episode 130 of Shadows and Pretties. So, today I am going to be reviewing a horror Christmas movie called Silent Night. Now, this is a 2012 remake of the Silent Night, Deadly Night movie that came out, in 1984. So since I did the Silent Night Deadly Night series such as the original ones, so I thought, I go ahead and do a review on Silent Night. Now this is the 2012 remake. So with that being said, and this is a remake to the Silent Night Deadly Night movie, and it's an American slasher film. So oh, bless me. Sorry about that. I sneezed. So today I am going to sit here and basically talk about this movie because I haven't really seen this movie, in a long time. So I recently just watched it for the first time in a while. And I mean, it's a pretty good movie. I mean, I don't understand why the remake of this kind of got dislike bombed, I believe. Like, what I mean by dislike bombed, I think in feed years or something. At least that's what it is to me, that is. Because what you can see right here, it mixed positive reviews, but some of them were, negative reviews as well. Like, I mean, there were some negative reviews in there, but yet again, I think that's just me. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the review of Silent Night, the 2012 remake. Although it's most likely the same, pretty much, as the original Silent Night Deadly Night movie, which is it's pretty much a loose remake of the Silent Night Deadly Night movie that came out in 1984, and it's the sixth installment of the Silent Night Deadly Night franchise. The film was given a limited theatrical release on November 30th, 2012, and was released on Blu-ray and disc sometime in December 4th of 2012. So, for those of you who haven't seen the movie or, don't want spoilers, I recommend you click off this video now. But if you guys, don't care about spoilers, let me get down to business. So, basically the story that dresses up as a man, dresses up as Santa Claus suit, complete with a mask, and captures Jordan and kills him, the deputy sheriff, in a small town of Cryer, Wisconsin. So Jordan is basically sleeping with the married Elena Roach and is electrocuted with Christmas lights in his own home. The following day, which was Christmas Eve, the sheriff of Cryer, Sheriff Cooper, who's played by Malcolm McDonald, calls Deputy Aubrey Bradmore, I believe, who is played by Jamie King, in on her day off. But when Jordan doesn't arrive at work, Aubrey is a new addition to the sheriff's office and is still reeling from the unexpected death of her husband, John. She still doesn't really make a good deputy, as she is trying to live up to her father, who is a retired sheriff. Aubrey goes in to spend the holidays with her parents, but she ends up going out to check on Jordan, finding his mangled body, and Roach, who has been dismembered. So later in the day, Sheriff Cooper decides not to tell Mayor Reeve until the case is closed. So meanwhile, the masked Santa killer goes on a murder spree. So basically, this film is kind of like similar to Silent Night, Deadly Night, and it's basically the plot's kind of almost the same, but except there was some changes that were happened in the remake compared to the original movie, which I did do a Shadows and Praise episode on that, not too long ago. So, of course, when the masked Santa goes on a killing spree, killing those who have done something that he considers naughty, his next victim becomes a teenage bratty girl who he kills with a cattle prod when he tries to make his way to a local hotel, murdering two of three people, both during a photo shoot. Now, one of the women manages to escape and tries to hide in a Christmas tree farm, but the killer chops off one of her legs and throws her feet first into a wood chipper. The sheriff calls Deputy Stanley Gills and goes out to find the killer himself, but comes back empty-handed. Aubrey then starts to suspect that Santa, Jim Espin, is the local drunken Santa portrayer, the drug dealer Steen Carson, and the perverted renovating Madley. So Aubrey then attempts to integrate Carson, but he flees, and Aubrey gives the chase, but is nearly killed narrowly by saved by Sheriff Cooper. During that evening, the town's annual Christmas parade, Aubrey then searches for the killer, but is unable to identify him among the crowd of men dressing up in Santa Claus suits. Although she arrests Jim, who he frees from her, the killer Santa continues on his spree. The killer then arrives at a church and then kills Reverend Madley and murdering of Mayor Reeve and his daughter named Tiffany, and her boyfriend Dennis. So Aubrey goes to Carson's motel room to arrest him and is forced to kill him when he draws his gun. Aubrey then notices a gift box that contains a piece of coal, and recalls that both of the station and her father had received the same gift. Aubrey arrives at the parents' home only to find her father dead and her mother hiding in the closet. So the killer then attacks the station, killing Cooper, Gills, and Jim. Aubrey, along with the station's security secretary Brenda, it gets cornered by the killer inside of the police station, where the killer tries to burn down the police with a homemade flamethrower. Aubrey is able to overpower the Santa Claus and sets him on fire, but at the end manages to escape. So it's basically the plot of this movie is kind of almost like the same thing as Silent Night, Deadly Night, but it is different because they have different, I guess you could kind of point out and say that it's very different compared to how, Silent Night, Deadly Night was. Like, Silent Night, Deadly Night, the original, is about Billy Chapman, personally, basically. But eventually, you get to see that later on in this one. Later on, you get to reveal that it's not Billy and it's somebody else, which I will be, explaining that in a little bit. So, with that being the case, it is later revealed that the killer Santa Claus is Ronald Jones Jr., the local chimney cleaning and repair service. He had once survived the flamethrower attack. During the hunt for the killer, Aubrey learns then another Santa portrayer that Ronald Sr. had crashed his ex-wife's Christmas party many years ago, burning her alive with a homemade flamethrower. Aubrey's father was a deputy and responded to the situation and gunned them down, only to find that Ronald Jr. was in his father's truck watching the entire scene. The tragedy then caused Ronald Jr. to go insane and seek revenge, dressing as Santa so that he would not get caught during the Crier's Christmas festivals. So, I think the twist of the ending, is revealed that Ronald Jones Jr. takes what his dad did and, dress up as Santa Claus and goes around and kills people. It's not like Billy Chapman does it, not like in the original movie, but I would have to say it's still a pretty good movie for what this one really is. I mean, this honestly, I think this remake did a pretty good job. Like, I mean, it's based on a bit of the true story, and you guys are maybe wondering, how is this horror movie based on the true story a little bit? Well, not really so much, but basically, the 2012 adaptation of Silent Night is based on the real event known as the Konova Massacre on Christmas Eve in 2008, as a 45-year-old man named Bruce Jeffrey Pardo killed at least 9 people with gunshot wounds or an arson fire on a holiday party, where Pardo then wore a Santa suit during the massacre, and as does the main antagonist in Silent Night. So, pretty interesting that it does that. Like, it's pretty interesting how it based on a bit of the true story of, behind the Santa Claus killer. I think it's pretty neat, to be honest. Now, the acting was pretty good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I really like Jamie King, who was in the remake of My Bloody Valentine, and I also like that Malcolm McDowell was in other remakes too, and I'm really glad that he was in this one. I honestly think he was a pretty good actor in this movie at this time. I mean, it's pretty interesting to come to think of it when I first saw this movie. Now, of course, it received, mixed from critics and, some positive and negative reviews, but I mean, the remake actually was pretty good. So, I mean, the gore scenes were in it, just like, with Santa Claus, killing people, showing the deaths of certain people. I mean, it's pretty gruesome and all that, but it was still pretty neat seeing, how, Santa Claus kills people, just kind of like how somebody dressed up as Santa Claus, just kind of like how the original Silent Night Deadly Night movie was. Now, I like the original Silent Night Deadly Night movie, but this one is actually a pretty good remake in my opinion. I mean, yes, there are some remakes that suck, and there's some remakes that are actually pretty good, but this one honestly was well done. I mean, if you guys personally don't like Silent Night Deadly Night, the remake, that's understandable. I mean, it's somewhat, is a kind of like the same as the original Silent Night Deadly Night movie, but they made some changes, obviously. Like, for example, they kind of changed, certain things that was not in the original that the remake had. I mean, it was pretty messed up at certain parts, especially certain deaths, like like the killer Santa Claus using like a flamethrower. I mean, that's badass, man. Like, I mean, it's badass, but I still found this one to be a pretty good remake, especially with, the concept of, what's going on with Santa Claus and all that. I mean, it's a pretty good remake in my opinion, but yet again, everybody's opinions are different. Like, if you don't like this remake, that's fine. I understand. And if you like this remake, that's perfectly fine too, because I personally found this remake to be pretty good. So, I mean, the plot of the first Silent Night Deadly Night movie, and you compare it to the 2012 remake, I mean, it's kind of similar, like it's almost basically the same thing, but except there was changes in the remake that the original didn't have. Like, for example, instead of Billy Chapman going on being the Santa Claus, it's Ronald Jones Jr. I mean, that's pretty insane, the different character names. But yet again, I didn't find this movie to be terrible at all. I found this movie to be, fantastic. I mean, the gore was pretty good in there, as well as, some, scenes with nudity and all that. I mean, if they were pretty cool too, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there was like cool shots that they shot here and there. There was like cool, special effects in there. I mean, it's pretty neat, but if I had to pick this or Silent Night Deadly Night the original, I would have to go with the original movie, because the original movie would always be the classic of all horror movies. So like, if you guys like Silent Night Deadly Night the remake, well, not remake, but Silent Night the remake of the Silent Night Deadly Night movie, that's perfectly cool. If you don't like it, then I respect your opinion regardless. So, what did you guys personally think of this remake of Silent Night Deadly Night, which is called Silent Night? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me now with your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're brand new here to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And I guess, as always, I will be catching you in the next video. So peace out, everyone. And as always, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.